Hi everyone, this is Kenzie. I'm writing this before I have played a lick of Wuthering Waves, and these words will not change. Here's a little bit of intro to get you acclimated to my vibes, then we'll get to it. I won't hold you here for too long, but just in case your frontal and parietal lobes are damaged, I got a chapter for you where the function starts. But Jesus Christ, did you learn to walk by skipping to 2 years old? That's what I thought. Let's begin.
You're always just like, mother is mothering.
Wuthering Waves wasn't always on my radar, but now it is. I just put out a video about my full experiences with Genshin and Honkai Star Rail, and when I first heard about Wuthering Waves and looked up gameplay, as you can probably guess, I was on the opinion of, I don't really need another open world gacha. I got Genshin. Honestly, for financial reasons, that part's still kind of true, but as I've said in my previous video, I'm not really doing much in Genshin except dailies nowadays anyway, so I could use something fresh and a little bit captivating. I said a lot more than that, and that video was haha funny, so go there if you want full 100% context to this. I'll link it for you, okay babe? Mwah. Now, fresh and captivating is what Wuthering Waves looks like to me. Yes, Genshin and this game are basically estranged cousins, but me talking about Genshin in this video won't play that much of a part. I gave Genshin a year plus 20 minutes on my channel. I've said my piece about Genshin. This video is about Wuthering Waves. Now, if I do bring it up, I'm making the jokes, okay? The Genshin and Wuwa fans are probably gonna be at each other's throats for weeks after this point, so I'm gonna make the jokes. Sorry, not sorry. And I don't know this yet, but it's probably gonna be minor shit about like, wow, this thing is like that thing, and I'm gonna keep it moving. I'm not interested in adding fuel to any flames unless I'm holding the match. Now, I'm gonna say some shit completely unrelated to what I just said to fuck with the people who skipped my shit. And boom, bitch, that's the story of how I convinced Miyazaki to make Radagon and Radon fuckable in the Elden Ring DLC. Now for Wuthering Waves, the game I haven't played till right now.
It's my stress, that's for sure.
Wuthering Waves starts out with two femme lesbians from Santa Monica. I think I've seen literally both of those outfits outside of a Balenciaga on Rodeo Drive. One of these queers is named Kenzie and the other is named we don't know yet. Once we get sent to the same ocean as the one they got stranded in The Incredibles, we wash ashore and get resuscitated by two women named Yang Yang and Chisha. I don't really care for Yang Yang. I think her voice acting is more memorable than her actual character, and Chisha is chronically animated. She strikes me as a character that is just trying her best, but also a character that struggles with simple tasks and looks at slime scooping videos on TikTok. She's fine, I like her dialogue, but as far as their delivery goes, yeah, we're gonna talk about this.
Shut the fuck up! Please!
Okay, so I'm just gonna be talking my shit and I hope that it makes sense, but hear me out. I think the voice acting functions as a usage of language and conveyance of information, but as far as calling it good or not, girl, not really. But for me, it starts with these two right here. Yang Yang is fine, I guess, but she's also so fucking tutorial coded. They loaded her with so many wuthering words that I genuinely just don't really care when she says anything about tacit field this, etheric sea that, or j.
Sentinel engine Joe is known as J.
Chisha I think is fine, but I'm biased because she reminds me of Pascal from Tales of Grace's F, so whether you take my word for it or not, they're basically the same character, so I'm obligated to say that I like it. Also, Chisha does this thing that Dia does in Genshin where she speaks in a regular way until she says something like outta instead of out of, or leaving the G out of the end of a word, for example.
Once you're out of the gorge, there's only a short walk to reach Jinjo.
This is a huge nitpick, but I don't like this if it's done inconsistently, like here where she says runnin' and then says heartwarming according to the script. Tomboy characters are usually who I see doing stuff like this, but I didn't notice it as much until I played Genshin. Now, does this mean that this is the textbook definition of irredeemable? No, not at all. I think most of these silly observations can be fixed with a little bit of direction from Kuro and more attention to detail. Now, yes, do some of these characters sound like someone's deep-throating a cardioid mic? Yeah, and once again, that's no knock to the VAs, really. That's mostly a Kuro issue in my opinion and could always be changed, so no biggie. Now, female Rover on the other hand, okay, so when I watched the Meet the VA video for Girl Rover, I didn't think it would be bad at all, but goodness gracious, I just don't think this was her best effort at times.
This must be one of the missing notes. So this is the right way to go. Time to deal with the guards.
Like, obviously, it's not like that every single time she speaks, but like Jack Black said in School of Rock, she's sounding
little Robotronic.
Once again, a little bit of elbow grease from Kuro would probably fix this, but it's not amazing right now. And yeah, I'm not the one in the game, but bitch, everybody got a pair of ears, and that's what I heard with mine. Okay, damn, that was like a page. Let's actually like move the bitch. The movement feels great. Literally every single second. You can run straight up walls, stamina is infinite when running outside of combat, and later on you get a Monster Hunter Rise style grapple hook. It all feels really good. Whenever I have a game with this degree of freedom, I kinda get this monkey gene. No, not the 1950s definition. I'm allowed to make that joke. Where I just want to climb everything and swing and jump everywhere. It definitely appeals to me, and I'm sure those who appreciate fast degrees of movement will be right there with me. It's a damn good movement system. Now, there are some situations where the parkour gets a little squirrely around small objects that you keep jumping over and you kind of have to try to stop yourself, but in general, it is great, and I much prefer this over that game that I said I wouldn't mention as much. They also introduce you to combat, the bread and butter of Wuthering Waves, and bitch, it's lovely. The best combat I've experienced in a gacha so far, and this goes across all of these characters. Yes, bitch, every single person at the time of writing this has been fun to play in their own right. Most characters play how you'd probably expect. You cut and shoot and magic through enemies, most similar to action RPGs like Bayonetta, Devil May Cry 5, Nier Automata, with the precision and skill required in games like Sekiro at times, which speaks to me more than the voices do. And let me just put this out there for the record. Perfect dodge and parries in any action game always, and I mean always, gives your game a solid 7 out of 10 at a baseline with me. It's like not even up for a debate from me. Perfect dodge and parries is always a net positive in a game, and that is just my truth. I can only assume that people who disagree with this are really big fans of Hello Kitty Cruisers, and while I love that for you, not in my garden, boo-boo. The combat never fell off either. The more characters you get, the more variety you have in building teams, and while that's probably obvious, Wuthering Waves does synergies with other characters in a way that allows flexibility while keeping the supports and the main DPSs the main DPSs. Yes, unlike that other game, this game does not have explicit reactions between different elements, but rather activation requirements that differ between characters in order to increase your damage. For example, if a character charges up their outro skill, which means that they dip out and gives a certain effect to the character coming in, let's say Electro, then if you switch to another Electro character, they will gain the benefit, and I like this method of synergy. Much easier to understand in my opinion. This also means that DPSs can potentially support each other, like Yu-Gi-Oh cards or some shit. Your damage can be enhanced even further with the help of echoes, which are basically Pokemon, but I want to be different because I know somebody had to have said that already. So echoes are basically Dream Eaters from Kingdom Hearts 3D. Yeah, that'll do. Echoes are introduced to you very early on, and you are able to fuck around and collect to your heart's content. They serve the purpose that artifacts did in Gumshoe Tic Tac, where they're basically armor pieces that have different stats on them, and while in Genshin, yeah, I'm gonna stop doing that bit, artifacts are mostly gotten in instances where you have to spend daily energy to get them at an acceptable rate, whereas in Wuthering, you can just kill everything you see and pick up as many echoes as you want. And on top of that, every echo has the potential to help you in battle in some way if they are in your primary slots. Unfortunately, I don't use echoes really at all because I'm more focused on just regular combat, but just use your imagination. Anything an echo does in battle, they probably do when you summon them. There has been a tad bit of divide on whether this system is better than Genshin's, and I say yes, it is. Leveling up echoes can be a bit more involved and expensive than artifacts, but getting echoes whenever I feel like and capturing them like pals really does just feel better to me. It's more active, and incorporating that into the average daily cycle of gameplay really helps this system feel so good. As far as other combat enhancers, there are basically things that are already in Genshin, so I can be a little bit more brief. This game has the system where multiple copies of a character will give you their respective wave band or constellations in Genshin, which will unlock a specific effect for the character. In this game, I personally believe that if you're proficient enough at the game and level up properly, you don't really need wave bands on anyone, but they still do help. Off the top of my head, there's this character named Mortefi. He's hot, and not just because he's the fire element. One of his wave bands gives him a longer lasting ultimate. Ultimate attacks are called resonance liberations in this game, but I'm just not saying that. It's a fucking mouthful. Yeah, Mortefi is just fine by himself, and it's not like I wanted them, but I got it now, and now I like him more. But the fact that I never needed it is a good thing. I plan to stay at the baseline of no wave bands on every character I get, but hell, if I get one, which is basically guaranteed if I want a 5-star character, bitch, I ain't complaining. Damn, this game got a story, don't it? After going through the gorge, we get to our first tacit field, which is equivalent to those bad areas in Okami. Then Yang Yang goes on and on and on about tacit fields, then allows us to use our gliders. To be honest, out of all the things to take from Genshin, I didn't expect the glider to make it. In a world that also has technology-based grapple hooks and futuristic futuristic aesthetics and phone calls in your brain and shit like that, a feathery bird-based glider just doesn't seem like it fits that well. But they might add more shit in the future, but right now I think this glider is kind of unappealing. We meet this character named Baija, and god damn it, now I have to talk about the character.
She is very gorgeous to me!
Literally every single character besides the ambiguously aged ones, I ain't touching that, are appealing. Can't say anyone I have at this point struck me as
Brother,
and I like every single character's design, regardless of how they play. Apparently Tao Chi is bad, and I can see how by reading her shit, but Okay, back to the story. It's really interesting, I swear. Baija reads our bodily condition with her pet plesiosaur, and after that we fight a big bitch that's called a tacit discord, or a TD for short. Of course, these terms that they just keep throwing out is just very typical world building shit, but similar to how in Final Fantasy 13 they just kept throwing out words like lascive, falsi, focus, eidolons, this game just vomits that shit out too. But in general, you can substitute any of these words for regular shit. Tacit discords are just enemies, tacit fields are just, I don't know, echo plantations, and the etheric seed doesn't matter that much to the overall plot, to be honest, and if it does, then it doesn't matter to me. How about that? Baija wants us to go to the city and talk to her there, but we have a whole playground of puzzles to do, mountains to climb, and echoes to collect. You could theoretically get a full set of shitty echoes for your characters at this point if you want, and I really like the echo system. We finally make it to the city of Jinzhou, and it's here that you can craft weapons, synthesize materials, and shoot cats. Subscriber the kitten gets it.
Bitch, you only threatening me because your channel ain't shit.
Well, fuck you too! After fucking about in Cyberpunk Liwa, we go inside the city hall to meet a character named San. Whoa, she is pretty. God damn, Kuro, I can only sweat so much, bitch. Eventually, we get to the actual part of the story that makes a bigger impact than roughly every single event we've gone through at this point. We finally get access to the feature that allows us to pull for brand new character.
I'll handle your commission. Alone.
My headcanon is that he's fucking mine. The pull system has been compared to Genshin plenty of times by plenty of people, so let me do the same thing. The pulls, or convene, sorry, I'm not saying that. The pulls give you a random 5-star at 80 pulls on either the standard banner or the limited event banner where the new characters go. This is 10 pulls lower than Genshin, which pays out at 90 wishes. Of course, this is just a pity count, so you can get 5 stars at literally any time before this. But Wuwa has a few changes to the system that make it much easier. First things first, the weapon banner only gives you weapons, and that has its own pull currency, which I am never going to want for. I'm glad they split that shit up. These are the pulls of shame. The character banners only give you characters instead of mixing up the 5 stars, so if you want a particular character on standard banner like John Jin, the only one I don't fucking have, it's easier to achieve in Wuwa. Second thing is that when Kuro Games apologizes, they fucking get on their hands and knees and tie up their ponytails. I probably got more pulls out of Kuro than I did actually playing the game, to be honest, and I didn't even deal with most of the problems that others had. I guess now is a good time to talk about that. Starting the game initially, and this means like day one type shit, I had stutters everywhere, and no matter what I did, they never stopped, but it was playable. If I had to call this unplayable, I would just be wrong. I'm pointing this out specifically because of a cute little game called Cyberpunk, and the Wuwa players are giving me PTSD. I am PS4 Cyberpunk's strongest soldier, and the reason why is because everyone was talking about the game being unplayable, and if a game is able to be beaten, played, and enjoyed with the bugs on top of the experience, then that just isn't unplayable to me. Any Bethesda game will show you that people will deal with buggy ass games, and honestly, in my experience, while Wuwa has been jittering, stuttering, shucking and jiving, and pinging up a storm, I still fucked with it every day. So yeah, if you had issues, I'm sorry, but I can only be like 40% sorry cause hell, I ain't do it. Skipping ahead a bit to the current day as of writing this, the stutters only happen upon first movement when loading in, but after like 3 freezes, the game runs as expected and requested. And that's just how it is for me. If you're still dealing with those issues, then I hope they keep loading up our mailbox while they fix that for you. But nah, for real, I can't say that I paid much attention to the story, but I think most people were here for the gameplay anyway, so I don't think anyone will hate me for speeding this shit up a bit. Good thing for me that the game implements a good old-fashioned skip button for useless words. Thank fuck for that, because some of these people get wordy, and I just can't be arsed, bro. I utilized this feature really well, and if someone who I deemed irrelevant started talking, then they called a swift RB, or LB, I can't remember the button off the top of my head. Shortly after some stuff happened, we meet our first limited event 5-star, Gion. Naturally, I was incredibly excited to see this man, but actually playing him, I just think he's fucking boring. After we kill the biggest bird, we head to a place called Kichi Village. We cleanse a tacit field and make our way to Act 3 of the story, where it actually picks up pretty decently. We meet a childish ass TD calling out for brother, and this is weird because normally these bitches go aggro because they feed on the frequencies of the living. After a while of searching the area for clues on what the fuck is going on, we get ambushed by, oh my fucking god, his name is Scar, and holy shit. Like goddamn Kuro, you know how good and well his dick ate a sushi roll. Take that shit off. This hot chunk of character design took our friend, and honestly he can keep her. I just can't imagine that as a net negative. Also, he keeps asking me to fight him, and as I consistently say to the people in my life, the twink must be obliterated. Also, his voice acting is one of the good ones, and he's just a treat to listen to. Great villainous pipes on this one.
You never cease to amaze me. Such a burning desire for battle.
We beat his ass, and then he gives us our tutorial guide back, and then we do some other shit and the quest is complete. So since this is essentially where the game reaches mid-game, where you can kinda just get on, do daily tasks, and level up your characters a bit more effectively, I'll talk more about exploration. This takes place like 2 days later in my timeline. I logged in again and I checked the notices just to get that cursed red dot off my screen, and it failed to load for me, but then I could still play the game. The game was active, but I still couldn't do anything, so I had to reload. That was the one and only unplayable part for me. This never happened again. Also, the AI in this game is incredibly smart. Exploration is pretty standard. You can lose hours and hours and hours of your day just solving the little puzzles and killing enemies, and since all of this goes towards your characters getting stronger, there is a much higher incentive to engage with the overworld. Genshin had this issue for me where the overworld is only as valuable as the chests you haven't gotten yet, and once you dry up a region, there's really no reason to kill anything. In Wuwa, the whole world is a domain in a way. I've probably gotten more 5-star artifacts in one day of grinding echoes than I have in Genshin's 4.0 update phase. Plus, the world is gorgeous, and thanks to Gotcha Smack saying that the game looks better with the brightness setting turned down, yeah, that is very true, and I don't know if it originated from him or not, but regardless of that, the game looks amazing that way. I'm sure some people don't love the muted colors and more sterile UI, and as far as the UI goes, I don't think it's great either, but it has its own aesthetic without being hopelessly chained to Genshin's more poppy, colorful art style. It's similar, yet different, and I like both, of course, but I do have a slight preference for more futuristic things, which Wuwa has a decent amount of. Honestly, it was around this time that I got kinda sad, cause considering that I was indoctrinated into Genshin by a friend and most of my friends who play Genshin still play Genshin, I really didn't have anyone to talk to about all the crazy shit this game gets right and all the weird shit this game got not as right. Oh shit. Hi.
Kenzie, I know you ain't trying to leave me out of a woo-wah video.
Well, I mean, hey, you want to be in it?
Hey, look, you need me in this video.
So how do you feel about woo-wah?
Oh, like, okay, right off the bat, I'll say that this game did take a lot of inspiration, obviously, from Genshin, and it did some things that they didn't need to take from Genshin, but the things that they did improve were significant improvements. They put in Hoyoverse on blast, on notice.
They did copy a lot of the same bullshit
Yeah.
that they definitely did not need to do.
Yeah, like the exposition on top of exposition on top. Like, there was one scene where, I shit you not, there was a cutscene to talk to an old man, and then you had to turn around and then talk to the old lady, and then turn around and then pick a thing up, and then turn around and do the same shit over again.
Oh, you're talking about the Chisha quest, right?
Yes. Oh my god.
You're kidding. That guy's really cool.
Oh, also, don't think that I ain't see that. I see you over there with your new Gion mod.
Well, I'm still recording, Oni. What the fuck?
I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, y'all didn't hear that shit. But yeah, the exploration quests, which are world quests in Genshin, are just so easy to do when you don't have to read the affairs of NPCs. One particular exploration mission was pretty long, but then you get to ride a motorcycle in it, and it's almost identical to the Ghost Rider video game for the PSP. And honestly, I'm surprised Kuro can be so based. I have no qualms about skipping these dialogues. If it ain't the main hot men or the main hot girls, then I'm treating them like mean girls. You can't sit with us. Also, the game has a roguelike gameplay mode where you're restricted to one character and you score upgrades to make your character absurdly strong. And I named these recordings Sim Uni because this is pretty much adjacent to Simulated Universe and Honk Shit Starbucks. But here, I think this game is mostly on the roguelike side of things because in these upgrades are just fucking nuts. And I hope that any changes they make in this mode only get crazier. It's not like the bosses you fight can't fight back, of course, but you get fucking massive in this mode, and it's incredibly fun. Also, there's a typo here, and I don't think it's fixed yet, so another 160 primos for us. Yay! As far as the world is concerned, that's about all I got for that. Anything I missed, I'm sure you can fill in the blanks with your own experiences. After surveying the world and going to the tippy top of the world to find the funny Devil May Cry chair, we have to go to the city hall and go to the grand library through a hidden entrance to solve the mystery of the shit we were doing earlier.
As I expected.
Yeah, Rover be talking. I went over this earlier, but yeah. After we complete this area and get to the database inside of this area, Scar makes his grand debut again, and I was so happy to see him again. He really jumps the energy up. I wouldn't dare use this button when he's here. He eventually gets captured by Sanhua and a new character we haven't seen in the flesh till now named Jinxie, the Grand Magistrate of Jinzhou. And she's pretty cool. Essentially, we as the Rover are pretty damn sought after by Scar and his organization Fraxidus, with him saying that we are supposed to be working with him because of who we are, and he drops some bombs on Jinxie relating to the Sentinel of Jinzhou. I'm pretty sure Zhu is their god, so I'll say that, but something ain't right about all of it. But one thing is true, the world is going to end and Fraxidus is going to be at the forefront of it. After this point, the story is good. Not like masterpiece good, but actually wanting my attention good.
Here you are! Hooray!
Look, she does a lot of damage. Alto and Encore come into the story at this point, and I like them both. Something about a duo with a sleazy dude and a child that he makes manipulate people is kind of a favorite of mine. I would call it a cliche, but I can't think of any similar duos off the top of my head, so it must not be that common, but I know they exist. Please tell me in the comments if you know any. As far as this duo though, I love their chemistry and I like how they interact with us. The story is basically ending at this point of the game, so I won't spoil the 6th act, but I will say that the 6th act does set up what we have to look forward to in the next stories, and I'm happy about it. I can give the story an overall pass, but I think I remember Kuro saying that they would implement even more skip dialogue opportunities, and I am so happy for that. So now that that pesky story thing is over, what's next? My definition of endgame for Wee is when you're able to start getting 5-star artifacts. Not getting them consistently, but at least able to get a few. It took me a while to start getting them, and when I got the one from pre-registering for the game, I was like, damn, this shit kind of valuable, huh? This isn't just a 5-star artifact. This is like one of the only ones you'll be able to get for a while. Leveling up your characters and getting them kitted out and ready for the Wuwa Spiral Abyss equivalent is one thing that'll take some time, but I think the hardest content for the endgame is the hologram bosses. These bosses to me pretty much encapsulate Wuthering Waves in its purest form. I think that Woo isn't super suited for AoE content because of how a lot of characters that I play are single target with AoE sprinkled in, but the holograms are all mostly one body and a true test of your characters. The holograms are healthy as fuck and will kill you, and there are a lot of them with their own stages. I think this is Wuwa at its best when it comes to combat. I don't know if anyone out there will disagree because I haven't seen any Wuwa reviews or anything like that, but I believe that these holograms are the best example of how much you can be pushed in a sweaty ass combat gacha. And finally taking one down feels fucking phenomenal. Endgame also means waiting for the new characters to come out. Oh, hi Yinlin! Okay, Calcharo, I love you, sweetheart, but I didn't fucking want you today! Oh, god damn it.
What's that look on your face? Surprised to see me?
Girl, you better be worth it. She is. I use her for any and all AoE situations next to Calcharo, but I don't allow them to touch each other. I can't compete with a bad bitch. Speaking of a bad bitch, there ain't no goddamn way I can continue to support this game if this girl don't step on any of the main cast. I'm manifesting this shit. So with Yinlin, she also comes with her own companion quest, and while it isn't storied, I played through the whole thing. Is it good? Yeah, it's fine. Excellent, actually, astounding even. Yeah, it's stellar. Genshin also has a quest that they released around this time, and it's a pretty important one, and I decided to record it just in case I needed to. And I don't need it, but this quest is a pretty huge deal for Wuwa, and the quest in Genshin is a big deal too. So, yeah. Yeah, this shit wordy as fuck, but I kinda fuck with it. You know, they only released Genshin Story like once every year or some shit, so it was cool to come back to the combat. I think it's fine. Here go Paimon talking and shit. No, don't do that fucking thought. Oh my god, they doing that thought bubble shit? Oh, it's done. Endgame also means playing the events for rewards. Yeah, Overdash isn't really that great. Yeah, it functions as a thing to do, but it's just kinda lame. It doesn't test the parkour in any meaningful way. It's just jumping to the end of the track and getting rewarded for it. And Alloy Smelt is fine, but it's really not that different from the actual game's content. Alloy Smelt is essentially just domain challenges where you need to do specific actions to increase your damage. Like I said, fine, but it's not innovative or anything like that. It doesn't feel like an event. And finally, Endgame is observing the community, and I guess for this part, I can finally get to the current day. I'll keep it brief on the subject, but wow. I have never been on the ground floor of a community with drama this potent. I kept up with all of it because of course I did. I'm nosy as fuck. And I touched on this briefly already. I'm essentially an observer with an inkling of a platform and voice, so hell, I'll just kinda say what I want. The drama was palpable, but me being grown as fuck, I didn't really throw myself on the sword for any of it because bitch, it's a video game. I ate my popcorn and enjoyed the content, and if I came to dislike anyone in any of it, I think those people probably brought it on themselves. And if you're picking up what I put down, then I feel exactly the same way about this scorched earth bringing everybody down with me bullshit. Period. P.S. It is not the same photo. Aside from that shit, the community has been pretty critical and accepting of Wuwa at the same time. People obviously want it to get better, and that's great to see because I do too.
Yeah. So the fact that they came swinging out the gate, even without controller support on mobile, is a huge testament to how much people are A, tired of Hoyo versus bullshit, and B, like how good of a job that they did with this game. And it's only going to improve because they are actually listening to feedback and listening to what players actually want to see in the game and want to experience in the game. So I have no doubt in my mind that this game is going to continue being successful. The fact that they don't even have some really basic things in now, but they are coming, means that there will be more people playing it in the future. And I hope that is the case because we do need competition in this space and we need strong competition in this space.
I think Wuwa will do just fine. They need to fix the things that need fixing and compensating at the level that they think they need to. I love Woo Woo. It has become my new daily game. When Project Mugen comes out, I will drop this game like a sack of humans. It genuinely scratches that itch that stubborn boss killers like me have really been wanting out of gacha. Everything I've said about Wuwa, I mean it. I genuinely think it's a beautifully crafted experience for hardcore players and casual players. It has flaws, some small, some big, and some I've never ran into, but I think with a little bit of Chemical X, this game will collect nothing but Wuthering wins and upset the Wuthering whack-asses that were riding this game's Wuthering wiener, acting like the game was dying off of some typos. Look, the only thing that can kill a game is its own developer, and since this game is more alive than a rare steak, I guess we'll just have to see where it goes in the future. But for now, I think I'm done here. Now, if you haven't already, please check out my video on Genshit and Honkshit if you want my extra beefy experience with them. And check out my Patreon, it's in the description, and I have memberships too. Members and Patreons get early access to videos, and ungodly cute bitches get extended clips. Ooh. If you don't think you want to right now, that's cool. Cute bitches can subscribe too, and follow my Patreon for free if you want, and those are free to do. Stay safe, stay hydrated, and most importantly, stay cute. You lovely rovers. Also, add a fucking remember me login feature. I'm tired of typing that shit in. Okay, bye.